Himmel fails as a hero, at least by the standards of which stories often set heroes to be. Most hero stories rely on a simple trope. The world chooses its hero, either by a prophecy, revelation, test, or object. Think of Kung Fu Panda when Oogway chose Po as the Dragon Warrior, when Link drew the Master Sword, or when Thor got to wield Mjolnir when he was deemed worthy. This trope serves as a confirmation that this person out of many others is a true hero. In Frieren, this proof exists in the sword of the hero. Reminiscent of King Arthur's sword in the stone, the sword is embedded in a stone tucked away in a cave, waiting to be drawn by someone worthy. In episode 12, Frieren and her companions come across this place. Here we find the sword of the hero still stuck to the stone, a sword that Himmel should have been previously using in their fight against the Demon King. We find out that Himmel failed to draw the sword. The world did not choose him. Himmel was not the true hero. This moment should have marked the end of Himmel's journey, and yet, despite being denied the sword, Himmel chose to continue regardless, to protect others, help those in need, and to defeat the Demon King. Despite being unable to call himself a true hero, and despite being rejected by the world, Himmel still chose to be a hero. It is in this scene that, in my opinion, Himmel cements himself as a hero, not in label, but in action. And in choosing heroism, despite being denied recognition, Himmel becomes more heroic than most heroes who were ever chosen. Himmel, the markings of a true hero. On May 21, 2024, at around 11 a.m. in Taichung Metro, a man began randomly attacking people with a knife. Mr. Su, a fellow passenger, upon witnessing this madman, decides to act. He lunges at the attacker, who begins to swing his knife erratically, but Mr. Su clung onto him regardless. The attacker manages to slash him in the face, yet he continues to cling on him. This is his attempt to disarm the man. Other passengers, upon seeing this scene unfold, joined him to pin the attacker, stopping the onslaught of attacks. Apart from the attacker and 3 other passengers, no one else was injured in this incident. In a later interview, Mr. Su was asked why he jumped in despite the danger, to which he responded, "Because that's what Himmel would have done." This phrase is repeated in and out of Frieren's universe. Most characters have uttered it once when asked why they did something good, with a thread in Reddit even dedicated to posting their "what would Himmel do" moments. But what does this phrase actually mean? It's what Himmel would have done. Understanding this phrase sheds light on the appeal of Himmel, because when people and characters repeat this, it does not refer to Himmel's power or status. It refers to his conduct. It refers to Himmel's choice to help, to protect, to step forward, to do good despite the circumstances. When Mr. Su threw himself onto the attacker, he cites Himmel not as a figure of unreachable strength, but as a moral reference whose behavior feels possible and ideal to imitate. We don't say that's what Thor would do, or that's what King Arthur would do when explaining acts of bravery or kindness, because these characters are defined by their strength and labeled heroism. In part, they were able to do good things because they were conforming to their role, because they were chosen. But Himmel was not. Because Himmel failed to draw the sword, every heroic act he performs can only be attributed to his character rather than a label. His goodness is not a result of conforming to a role. It is a genuine choice to do good. It makes him attainable and human, an act of heroism that others can imitate rather than merely admire from afar. Really, the phrase, "that's what Himmel would do," is not a phrase to denote any actions relating to power or strength, but rather refers to a conduct, to do good regardless, regardless of recognition, regardless of the odds, regardless of the difficulty. If it would help another, do it, because that's what Himmel would do. Himmel carried a true sword. Himmel's failure to carry the sword leads him to wield a replica instead. A fake hero carrying a fake sword seemed to be a fitting description, but he finds no concern for this. As he remarks, if a hero kills the Demon King with a replica, then what authority did the original sword truly held? In this scene, Himmel ultimately separates the title of hero from the sword. It further exemplifies his character, that in his view, the title of hero is practiced rather than given. Himmel did not need to be chosen to do good things. One does not need to be chosen. In defeating the Demon King with a mere replica, this is exactly what he proves. Following the defeat of the Demon King, the townspeople twist the narrative that his sword was always the real deal, not to cover shame, but to reiterate that it is not the sword that makes a hero, but rather heroic actions. In Frieren, the sword of the hero becomes less of an object that defines who is the hero, but more of a test of resolve of who is willing to act heroically despite being denied the title. Perhaps it was never even designed to be drawn, as if saying to every challenger that you will fail here. But if you choose to be a hero regardless, then this sword was never needed to validate you in the first place. Heroism on the small things. Another key point that is seen throughout the story is how we don't really get to see much of Himmel's grand fights and actions. We don't get to see him defeating the Demon King, though we are aware of his great feats of strength and accomplishments. However, the story doesn't really focus on this. What separates the narrative of Himmel from most heroes is the focus, not on his overwhelming strength and power, but on his small acts of kindness throughout the journey. It is in helping a child who's crying. It is in doing random errands for small villages. It is in taking care of his members. The story of Himmel redefines heroes and grounds them to be more human. Heroism isn't just an act found in destruction of evil, but also in doing small acts of kindness in our own small ways. While heroes of other stories often boast of their great achievements and bravery, this story pushes the narrative that it is also in the quiet, minute details of helping others that we can get a glimpse of heroes. These are only several reasons why I find Himmel to be a true hero. He is a hero not because he is conforming to a role given to him, but because that is him, genuinely. His actions are not a performance of his role, but rather an expression of his character. His failure to be recognized as the true hero, yet decision to still act like one, makes him a character that, while admired, can also be imitated in part. Often, the characters that we refer to as heroes have something unique to them that separates them from us. The universe has bestowed these characters with a unique gift, prophecy, power, or some other form of validation. We are not these characters. While we can admire them and their actions, they are, for the most part, at a distance. Their gifts, wisdom, prophecy, or talent are those that we do not have. And thus, while their heroism may be inspiring, they also appear to be beyond our capacity to imitate. However, Himmel breaks this narrative by succeeding as a hero despite being unqualified. Even more so, Himmel is not perfect. He can be vain. He takes on approaches that may make the journey longer. He indulges in moments that might be considered wasteful or unnecessary. He enjoys the road as much as the destination. In these traits of his, he becomes as human can be. Flawed, sentimental, capable of loving, hurting, and making mistakes. In the face of rejection, Himmel invites us to choose good regardless of who we are, regardless of what we can tackle, regardless of our talent or strength, our profession or authority or capacity. In our own small way, we can do good regardless. At least that's what Himmel would do.